Hello everyone, my name is James and today I'll tell you the story of the Big Woods. Chapter 5, Sunday, so let's read. Now the winter seemed long. Laura and Mary began to be tired of staying always in the house, especially on Sundays. The time went slowly. Every Sunday, Mary and Laura would dress out from the skin out in their best clothes, with fresh ribbons in their hair. They were very clean because they had their baths on Saturday night. In the summer, they would bathe in water from the spring. But in the wintertime, Pa filled a heaped tub, filled a heaped the wash tub with clean snow. On the cook stove, it melted into water. Then, close by the warm stove, behind the screen made a blanket over two chairs, Ma bathed Laura, and then she bathed Mary. Laura was bathed first because she was littler than Mary. She had to go to bed early on Saturday nights with Charlotte because after she was bathed and put into her clean nightgown, Pa must empty the wash tub and filled it with snow again for Mary's bath. Then, after Mary came to bed, he had Ma had her bath behind the blanket, and then Pa had his, and they were all clean for Sunday. On Sundays, Mary and Laura must not run or shout or be noisy in their play. Mary could not sew on her nine-patch quilt, and Laura could not knit on the tiny mittens she was making for baby Carrie. They might look at their paper dolls, but they must not make anything new for them. They were not allowed to sew on doll clothes, not even with pins. They must sit quietly and listen while Ma read Bible stories to them, or stories about lions and tigers and white bears from Pa's big green book, The Wonders of the Animal World. They might look at the pictures and they might hold their rag dolls nicely and talk to them, but there was nothing else they could do. Laura liked best to look at the pictures in the big Bible with its paper covers. Best of all was the picture of Adam naming the animals. Adam sat on a rock, and all the animals and birds, big and little, were gathered around him, anxiously waiting to be told what kind of animals they were. Adam looked so comfortable. He did not have to be careful to keep his clothes clean because he had no clothes on. He wore only a skin around his middle. Did Adam have good clothes to wear on Sundays? Laura asked Ma. No, Ma said. Poor Adam. All he had to wear was skins. Laura did not pity Adam. She wished she had nothing to wear but skins. One Sunday after supper she could not bear it any longer. She began to play with Jack, and in a few minutes she was running and shouting. Pa told her to sit in her chair and be quiet, but when Laura sat down she began to cry and kick the chair with her heels. I hate Sunday, she said. Pa put down his book. Laura, he said sternly, come here. Her feet dragged as she went because she knew she deserved a spanking. But when she reached Pa, he looked at her sorrowfully for a moment and he took her in on his knee and cuddled her against him. He held out his other arm to Mary and said, I'm going to tell you about a story when Grandpa was a boy. The story of Grandpa's sled and the pig. When your grandpa was a boy, Laura, Sunday did not begin on Sunday morning as it does now. It began at sundown on Saturday night. Then everyone stopped every kind of work or play. Supper was solemn. After supper, Grandpa's father read aloud a chapter of the Bible, while everyone sat straight and still in his chair. Then they all knelt down, and their father said a long prayer. When he said amen, they got up from their knees and each took a candle and went to bed. They must go straight to bed with no playing, laughing, or even talking. Sunday was morning. They ate a cold breakfast because nothing could be cooked on Sunday. They all dressed in their best clothes and went to church. They walked because hitching of the horses was work, and no work could be done on Sunday. They must walk slowly and solemnly, look straight ahead. They must not joke or laugh or even smile. Grandpa and his two brothers walked ahead, and their father and mother walked behind them. In church, Grandpa and brothers sat perfectly still for 2 long hours and listened to the sermon. They dare not fidget on the park bench. They dare not swing. They dare not swing their feet. They dare not turn their heads to look at the church. Uh, church. They must sit perfectly motionless, and never one instant take their eyes from the preacher. When church was over, they walked slowly home. They might talk on the way, but they must not talk loudly, and they must never laugh or smile. At home, they ate a cold dinner which had been cooked the day before. Then all the long afternoon, they must sit in a row on a bench and study the catchings until at last the sun went down and Sunday was over. Now, Grandpa's house was about halfway down the side of a steep hill. The road went from the top to the hill to the bottom, right past the front door, and in winter it was the best place for sliding downhill that you can possibly imagine. One week, Grandpa and his two brothers, James and George, were making a new sled. They worked on it every minute in the playtime. It was the best sled they had ever made, and it was so long that all three of them could sit on it, one behind the other. They planned to finish it in time to slide downhill Saturday afternoon. For every Saturday afternoon, they had 2 long hours to play. But that week, their father was cutting down trees in the big woods. He was working hard, and he kept the boys working with him. They did all the morning chores by lantern night, and they were hard at work in the woods when the sun came down. They worked till dark, and then there was the chores to do. After supper, they had to go to bed so they could get up early in the morning. They had no time to work on the sled until Saturday afternoon. Then they worked at it just as fast as they could, but they didn't get it finished till just the sun went down Saturday night. After the sun went down, they could not slide downhill, not even once. That would be breaking the Sabbath. So they put the sled in the shed behind the house to wait till Sunday was over. All the 2 long hours in church the next day, while they keep their feet still and their eyes on the preacher, they were thinking about the sled. At home, while they ate dinner, they couldn't think of anything else. After dinner, their father sat down to read the Bible, and Grandpa and James and George sat as still as mice on their bench with their catchings, but they were thinking about the sled. The sun shone. The sun shone brightly, and the snow was smooth and glittering. On the road, they couldn't see through the window. It was a perfect day for sliding downhill. They looked at their catchings and they thought about the new sled, and it seemed that Sunday would never end. After a long time, they heard a snore and looked at their father, and they saw that his head had fallen against the back of his chair, and he was fast asleep. Then James looked at George, and James James got up from the bench and tiptoed from the room through the back door. George looked at Grandpa, and George tiptoed after James, and Grandpa looked fearfully at their father, but on tiptoe he followed George and left their father snoring. They took the new sled and went quietly up to the top of the hill. They meant to slide down just once. Then they would put the sled away and slip back into their bench in the kitchens before their father woke up. James sat in front of the sled, then George, and then Grandpa. Because he was the littlest, the sled started at first slowly and then faster and faster. It was running, flying down the long, steep hill, but the boys dared not shout. They must slide silently past the house without waking their father. There was no sound except the little whir of the runners on the snow, and the wind rushing past. Then, just as the sled was whooping toward the house, a big red pig stepped out of the woods and walked in front of the middle of the road and stood there. The sled was going too fast. It couldn't be stopped. There was no time to turn it. The sled went right under the pig, went right under the hog, and picked him up. With a squeal, he sat on James, and he kept squealing on long and loud and shrill. Squee, squee! They flashed by the house, a pig sitting in front, then James, then George, then Grandpa. They saw their father standing in the doorway looking at them. They couldn't stop. They couldn't hide. There was no time to say anything. Down the hill they went, the hog sitting on James and squealing all the way. At the bottom of the hill they stopped. The hog jumped on James and ran into the woods, still squealing. The boys walked slowly and solemnly up the hill. They put the sled away. They sneaked into the house and slipped quietly to their places in their bench. Their father was reading his Bible. He looked up at them without saying a word. Then he went on reading, and they studied their catechisms. But when the sun went down and the Sabbath was over, their father took them out to the woodshed and tanned their jacket. First James and George, then Grandpa. So you see, Laura and Mary, Pa said, you may find it hard to be good, but you should be glad that it isn't as hard to be good now as it was when Grandpa was a boy. Do little girls have to be as good as that? Laura asked, and Miles said it was harder for little girls because they had to behave like little ladies all the time. Not only Sundays, little girls could never slide down hill like boys. Little girls had to sit in the house and snitch on slappers. So now run along and let Ma put you into bed, said Pa, and he took his fiddle out of its box. Laura and Mary laid in their trundle bed and listened to the Sunday hymns, for even the fiddle must not sing the weekday songs on Sundays. Rock of age, keep for me, Pa sang. With the fiddle he sang, shall I be carried in the skies on the flower beds of ease, while others fought to win the prize and sail through bloody seas? Laura began to float away to on the music. Then she heard a clattering noise, and there was Ma's stove getting breakfast. It was Monday morning, and Sunday would not come again for a whole week. And that morning, Pa came to breakfast. He caught Laura and said he must give her a spanking. First, he explained that today was her birthday, and she would not grow properly the next year if she had a spanking. And then he spanked so gently that it did not hurt a bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He counted and spanked. Slowly, one spank for each year, and the last big spank to grow on. Then Pa gave a little woodman he had whittled out of a stick to be company for Charlotte. Ma gave her 5 little cakes, one for each year that Laura had lived with her and Pa, and Mary gave her a dress for Charlotte. Mary had made the dress herself when Laura thought she was sitting on her patchwork quilt. And that night, for a special birthday treat, Pa played Pop Go the Weasel for her. He sat with Laura and Mary close against his knees while he played. Now watch, he said. Watch and you maybe can see the weasel pop out this time, he sang. A penny for a spool of thread, another for a needle, that's where the money goes. Laura and Mary bent close, watching, for they knew now was the time. Pop, said Pop, fingers on the string, goes weasel, sang the fiddle clean as plain. But Laura and Mary hadn't seen Pop's finger make the string pop. Oh, please, please do it again, they begged him. Pop's blue eyes laughed, and the fiddle went on while he sang. All around the copper's bed, the monkey chased the weasel. Bill purchased his the copper's wife. Go, Pop goes the weasel. They hadn't seen Pa's finger that time either. He was so quick they could never catch him. So they went laughing to bed and lay listening to Pa and the fiddle singing. There was an old darky, and his name was Uncle Ned, and he died long ago, long ago. There was no wool on top of his head in the place where the wool ought to grow. His fingers was long and as the cane in the break, his eyes they could hardly see, and he had no teeth for to eat the holy cake, so he had to let the holy cake be. So hang up the shovel and let the hole eat. Lay down the fiddle and the bow. There's no more work for old Uncle Ned, for now he's going where the old darkies go. So that's the last. Bye.